So first of all, I'd like to start it off as always by saying good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on where you are in the world today. My name is Phil Bowers. I'm the Director of Marketing here at Grandstream, and we have an incredibly exciting topic for our webinar here today. Um, this is a product that I truly believe is maybe the most innovative and unique and frankly game-changing product that we have ever come out with. And that is the GCC series is what we're calling it, of UC and networking convergence solutions. So for today's webinar, we're going to give you a full introduction into the GCC series, really more of the concept behind the GCC series. These are devices that combine up to 5 different solutions, what has traditionally been 5 different devices or platforms into one device. And I will go through and break that down for you. We'll go through the technical aspects of what it includes, and then give you an idea about the deployment scenarios for it. Towards the end of the webinar, we're really going to focus on the opportunities that this completely new product is going to provide to everybody within our distribution channel and to end users directly. So before we get started, I do want to point out, as you see here, it says coming soon at the top. This is a pre-launch webinar. These products are not available yet. They are expected to be rolled out here within the next 1 to 2 months. I believe that you will start to see a couple of these being officially announced by us once we get into May, and then into June as well. Long term, there are a couple of different series or model series within the GCC series, and we'll go through that all more in depth as we go along here today. So also want to mention that we are joined by Hugh Wynn, our Director of Technical Support for North America and Asia Pac. Hugh is in the chat. If you have any questions at all at any point in time, feel free to send over those questions to the chat. Do want to mention, though, that because this is a pre-launch webinar and because this product has not been officially announced yet, we're going to keep it pretty general in terms of specifications. So a lot of the questions, or some of the questions that you may have, or some of the specs that you might be looking for, we're not going to provide here today. Again, it's a pre-launch webinar. This product actually just started beta testing a couple of weeks ago. So it's still technically in the final stages of development, but we have started production on these devices and are getting ready to roll them out. So anyway, without further ado, let's get into today's webinar, which again is introducing you to our brand new upcoming series of the GCC series, UC Networking Convergence Solutions. So what do I mean by that? We believe these are truly groundbreaking devices within the information and communication technology space. These products, the GCC series, combine what has traditionally been up to 4 or 5 different products and solutions into one device. And that provides tremendous benefits for everybody within the Grandstream value chain. Essentially makes it easier and more cost effective than ever to deploy routers, firewalls, IPXs, IP PBXs, network switches, and Wi-Fi access points. The GCC series combines all of those devices into one solution. Gives you the functionality of a VPN router, the functionality of a next generation firewall, the functionality of an IP PBX, and then depending on device, also the functionality of a network switch and a Wi-Fi access point, to give you a truly all-in-one device that really we believe is going to redefine what the business communication marketplace, giving you the ability to provide everything within one box, giving providers focusing on VoIP, UC, or telephony the ability to now easily expand into into security services and into networking services, giving partners that are our networking partners the ability to easily expand into UC, VoIP, and security services, giving anyone doing all of that already the ability to deploy it from one central device with one central management, provisioning, setup platform for not just for this device, but for all Grandstream devices. That's another great thing about this, is it really gives you one device that you can bring all Grandstream endpoint solutions under one roof. So again, this is the GCC series of UC and networking convergence solutions. They combine a VPN router, a next-gen firewall, an IPPBX network switch, and a Wi-Fi access point, all into one device, manageable from one location. Really, again, making it easier and more effective than ever to set up, provision, install, and deploy state-of-the-art business communication solutions, to be able to do so under one roof, which, as I mentioned, provides tremendous benefits really for everybody in the channel. And we'll go through, those benefits a little bit more later on. But again, GCC series combines the 5 different devices that you see here all into one. I'll go through these models a little bit with you in the initial series. Some of the models are going to support, are going to do the router, firewall, IPPBX, and network switch. Some of the other models are going to do the router, firewall, IPPBX, and Wi-Fi access point. So again, super exciting devices. We really believe this is going to completely change the business communication landscape. Again, making it easier and more impactful than ever before to put in complete business communication solutions. No longer do you need a separate platform for all of these different solutions that every business already has and already needs. Now it's all under one roof with one device. So again, the GCC series provides an extraordinary solution that I keep saying this is going to redefine the communication experience by merging UC networking and security solutions all into one. It's an all-in-one solution for every communication and data technology that a business is going to need. From our GCC series, from one device, you can create and manage wired, wireless, and VPN networks. You can create and manage an enterprise-grade security solution with a firewall built into it. And you have access to a, frankly, state-of-the-art voice and video communication and collaboration platform. We've been making IPPBXs for pretty much longer than almost anybody else at this point. That great UCM platform in terms of the IPPBX functionality has been moved over to the GCC as well. The whole solution is managed from the cloud centrally with GDMS. There's also a web user interface built into all these devices like you're used to. Also supports command line interface management as well. And again, the kind of combination of all of that, and one of the great things for our partners is the ability to have centralized control of management of all Grandstream endpoint solutions. I think it's no secret at this point that we make, I think it's like almost 150 different products, might even be more than that. And these devices really give you the ability to deploy them and manage them, all the different devices, not just, from all of our different categories under one roof with one device. Again, making it easier than ever to sell, deploy, and manage state-of-the-art business solutions. So the GCC series it'll have a couple of different model categories within it. The first 3 devices that we're going to launch as part of the GCC series, which you see here on the screen. Again, I'll keep saying this, these are not officially launched. You see the coming soon in the top right. You should start to see these rolled out throughout the months of May and June. This initial series right here, the GCC 610 series with these 3 models, this is more of a small to medium business device. We have another category coming later on in the year that will be more enterprise-grade devices. And when I say enterprise-grade, excuse me, I just mean support for more users, support for faster routing speeds, more built-in ports for the network switch, that type of thing. So you can keep an eye out for those later on in the year. Again, this first series are more kind of targeted at small to medium-sized businesses. You can see the three models broken down here. They share a lot of features. They also, differentiate a little bit. The network ports are going to be one way that they differentiate. The GCC 611 over there on the right is going to give you 10 gigabit ports, 2 SFP ports. The GCC 610 on the left is going to give you 5 gigabit ports, 2 gigabit SFP ports. This GCC 610W, the device right in the middle there, the W stands for Wi-Fi, and that's because that's the device in this series that has a Wi-Fi access point built into it. Supports full dual band Wi-Fi 6 on that device. The GCC 610 does not have a built-in switch, whereas the other two models do, but the W model has the built-in access point where the other two models do not. You get PoE output with the GCC 611. You see the routing speeds, 2.5 or up to 3 gigs per second on all three of these devices, 1 gigabit per second IPsec VPN throughput. You got built-in IPS IDS, which is a firewall feature, all the way up to 1 gigabyte per second on all of these models. You've got max connection, 160 max connections, and that means just between all the different sessions running on the PBX and on the router and on the access point, and through the switch, you can support up to 160 concurrent connections or sessions. The PBX, which is a feature that I think a lot of people are really interested in, supports up to 100 users and 25 concurrent calls on the GCC 610 series. As you see below it, it mentions that we support 10 users and 4 concurrent calls by default. I'll go into detail a little bit more on this later on. So all three of these models by default with the will support 10 users and 4 concurrent calls for the PBX. We have an add-on that we are going to, an upgrade that we are going to offer that allows you to go up to 100 users and 25 concurrent calls. So the device can support that. It just requires an upgrade. That upgrade is just a software upgrade, one time for the life of the product. It's not, subscription or an annual fee or anything like that to get the PBX up to 125. So again, supports all the way up to 100 users and 25 concurrent calls with that simple one-time upgrade. Built-in 2 gigabit RAM and 32 gigabit flash on all three of these models. All three of these models have the ability to pair up with and support up to 150 of our GWN access points and support up to 500 concurrent clients. And then as you can probably see from the picture there, they are slightly different in terms of the form factor. The 610 and the 611 are both metal devices. They, really frankly look like, they look exactly like our GWN 7000 series of routers and some of our switches, again, with the, the metal boxes. I would say the 610 is, looks, it is basically looks like a little bit bigger than a 4-port router, for example. And then the 610W in the middle, that is actually a plastic mini tower is what we're calling it. Sits on a desktop. Anyone familiar with our GWN 7062, you will notice a pretty much identical form factor to that device. So again, these are the first 3 models coming out. You'll start to see these rolled out throughout May and June. We're still figuring out if all the 3 models are going to roll out at the same time. There might be one that comes out and then the other 2 are out a couple of weeks later, but keep an eye out for these. Again, not officially released yet. This is about as in-depth as we're going to go here today in terms of the specific specifications of the models. Once we get closer to announcing these, we'll hold another webinar. We'll do a full launch announcement, and we'll really go in depth and do the nitty gritty to go through every single model and every single feature. All right, so let's go in depth more on the functionality of the GCC series. So I'm going to go back a couple of slides. So as I mentioned, they combine up to 4 devices into one. Functionality of a VPN router, next-gen firewall, IP, PBX, and network switch, or the functionality of a VPN router, next-gen firewall, IP PBX, Wi-Fi access point. So let's go through each one of those devices or each one of those functionalities specifically to give you a little bit more information on what you can expect from this initial GCC 610 series. So we're going to start off with the router or the VPN router functionality that's built into all GCC 610 series models. All three models will have the built-in router. You're going to get either 2.5 gigs or 3 gigs on the Wi-Fi model of routing capacity. I mentioned this a moment ago, 1 gigabit per second of IPsec VPN throughput as well. So these devices will support can be paired with up to 150 of our GWN series access points to build out a wireless network within any facility or within multiple facilities, supporting up to 500 concurrent clients there. Does have dynamic routing and SD-WAN capabilities built into it. I know the SD-WAN is going to be of a lot of interest to a lot of people. Again, once we get to closer to launch and basically for our launch webinar, we'll go into a lot more detail on the more specific functionalities and capabilities of things like SD-WAN. Built-in load balancing, WAN link failover, DHCP server, DNS server, IGMP proxy turn server, all built in. And as you would imagine, and you can kind of tell from the title of the slide here, advanced VPN support built in, support for a lot of different VPN protocols, obviously WireGuard, OpenVPN, pretty much the two big ones there. And also another great feature built into our VPN manager is the ability to manage these remote users that might be coming in through the VPN. So again, this is the router overview of the router functionality built into all GCC 610 series models. Again, up to 3 gigs a second, dynamic routing, SD-WAN built in, the ability to pair up with up to 150 Grandstream GWN series access points, and support up to 500 concurrent calls. And then again, the advanced VPN support as well built right into all three GCC 610 series models. So again, this is the overview of the router functionality built into the GCC 610 series. Now here, this slide overview of the next generation firewall that's built into these three models. Again, all three models within the initial GCC 610 series will support and offer the built-in firewall. This is something that we've actually spent a lot of time really putting together, the firewall specifically. We're really proud that to be able to say that it runs the industry, or gained the industry-renowned VB100 Grade A anti-malware certification. That is from independent organizations. So that is, really something that, we'll have on day one that really speaks to the, the quality of the firewall that we built. Full IDS, IPS functionality built right in, advanced threat and attack protection. We've got AI-based deep packet inspection built in, enterprise-grade content filtering and application control, all the way down to very granular levels on the content filtering and the app control. A variety of adaptive intrusion detection and prevention features and functionalities built into it as well. So yeah, that's overview of the next gen firewall built into all three of the GCC 610 series models. Again, we really think the big thing here to remember is that second bullet point there, that these devices have gained before launch, excuse me, the VB100 Grade A anti-malware certification. There's also a full antivirus library which will be continually updated moving forward, built into the firewall. So really end-to-end intrusion and cybersecurity protection here with the built-in next-gen firewall. And again, all available within the same device that you're able to also get a router, a PBX, a network switch, a Wi-Fi access point. So that not only are you able to build out the network with one device from one location, but this built-in next-gen firewall gives you the ability to then secure that network and everything going through it, all from the same spot on the same device using the same management platform. So again, we'll go into a lot more details on all of these features and functionalities here in the next month or so as we get closer to launch. There'll be a launch webinar where we'll really break down a lot of these features a lot more in depth. So now the IP-PBX functionality. Again, this is built into all GCC 610 series models. So, to sum that up, all three models have the router, the firewall, and the IP-PBX. And then the next two, which we're going to talk about, which is the access point and the switch. It's either each device is going to have either the access point or the switch built in. But back to the PBX. Again, supports all the way up to 100 users and 25 concurrent calls on the PBX, which, again, like I mentioned earlier, these devices are really catered towards small to medium-sized businesses. I think the 100 users and the 25 concurrent calls, the PBX support really is a great way to show that this is, really, again, ideally built for small to medium-sized businesses. We'll have devices coming out later on in the year in the GCC series that will support more users, more concurrent calls, and, more faster VP or more router throughput, et cetera, et cetera. So again, like I mentioned a moment ago, does support up to 100 users, 25 concurrent calls. That's via an upgrade. By default, it'll support 10 and 4, but the upgrade is a one-time upgrade, very cost-effective. And again, it's not a subscription; it's just a one-time, and you then have access for the lifetime of the product. To 100 users and 25 concurrent calls on the PBX. I mentioned this earlier, and it's probably the best way to describe it if you're familiar with our UCM platform, the on-premise PBX, and now our cloud UCM platform that we launched a couple of years ago. That's our award-winning PBX platform that's been out for over 12 years at this point. It's become one of the top PBX platforms in the world in terms of users, in terms of market share, in terms of performance, et cetera, et cetera. And we've brought that whole suite of voice and video communication and collaboration features over here to the GCC 610. So everything you're used to with the UCM, you will get here: calls, meetings, conferences, chat, instant messaging, file sharing, whiteboards, recording, and a lot more. The GCC series will be compatible with SIP endpoints, as well as the Wave application, which hopefully many of you are familiar with. That Wave app is basically our mobile soft phone app available for desktop, web, and mobile. Gives you the ability to join, basically to participate in anything that I just mentioned, to take advantage and access all features within the PBX there from any device, from anywhere on the world, using desktop, web, and mobile. But again, we will support all SIP endpoints on the GCC series. As you can imagine, and we'll touch on this a little bit later, there are some enhanced and faster provisioning options when you're using Grandstream endpoints versus other endpoints, but we will support all SIP endpoints. There's a bullet there in terms of some more specific and advanced PBX features: call forwarding, call transfer, call park, intercom paging, IVR, emergency calls, etc. are all supported. Also, just like our UCM series, you will have full support for property management systems, big in the hotel and the hospitality industry. There's a variety of different call center suite functionality built in, as well as the ability to integrate it with third-party call center platforms. Also, the ability to integrate third-party CRM platforms, Salesforce, for example. And we do have an available API for these devices, which would enable you to then create your own custom functionality or integration between the PBX in the GCC series and any other application, platform, or solution that you're using. Really, again, the same way that you're able to do that with our UCM series and with Cloud UCM, you're also able to do that here with the PBX built into the GCC 610 series. So yeah, again, overview here of the IP-PBX functionality built into the GCC 610 series. All three models will support it, up to 100 users and 25 concurrent calls total. And again, the full UCM voice and video communication and collaboration platform, compatibility with SIP endpoints and the Wave app. Let's keep moving along here. Now we're moving on to the network switch. So the network switch functionality is built into the GCC 610 and GCC 611, not the GCC 610W. Again, the 610W has the built-in Wi-Fi access point, which is the next slide that we're going to talk about. So again, two models within the series that have network switches built into them. Certainly probably the most powerful one here is the GCC 611 on the bottom of the screen, because it gives you 10 ports, whereas the GCC series has 5 gigabit ports. Both of these devices are going to have two 2.5 gig SFP ports, so you get 2 SFP ports on both of these, and then either 10 or 5 gigabit Ethernet ports. For the GCC 610, all the ports are WAN LAN configurable. You have with a maximum of 3 WAN ports. For the GCC 611, you have 3 fixed WAN ports. The mounting does differ a little bit on these devices. The GCC 610, you can kind of see it on the picture there. The 610 is the smaller one on top. So that is more of a desktop and a wall mountable device. The GCC 611 is rack mountable and will come in the rack mount kit will come in the box with it. It is also desktop mountable, but we're talking about switches. A lot of people are going to want them to be rack mountable, and the GCC 610 is. So that is an overview of the network switch functionality of the GCC 610 and GCC 611. So now we're going to move over, as I just mentioned, to the Wi-Fi 6 access point that is built into the GCC 610W. Again, you've seen this on other Grandstream models of all different kinds over the years. You see the W at the end of it. It always means that there is Wi-Fi or Wi-Fi support built into it. Obviously, we have some models, GRPs come to mind, that do support Wi-Fi, and we don't have, actually, never mind. That they do support Wi-Fi, and I was going to say they don't have a W, but some of them do. So anyway, like I said a moment ago, if you see the W on any of our devices, Wi-Fi is built into it, and that is the case here with the GCC 610. Different form factor from the other two models, as you can see up top there. This is a plastic mini tower, is what we're calling it. If you've seen our GWN7062 router, this is the same form factor as that router. So again, the Wi-Fi 6 access point is only available from the GCC 610W, does support full dual band Wi-Fi 6 up to 500 concurrent clients. In addition to all of the firewall security that we talked about earlier, this model also adds all of your advanced Wi-Fi security protection and protocols. I didn't really include any of the protocols here because I think everybody traditionally knows what to look for that. But does on the add a bunch of additional Wi-Fi security above and beyond the firewall, since it's providing a Wi-Fi access point. We're talking about intrusion prevention and detection, anti-hacking secure boot, critical data control lockdown via digital signatures, unique security certificates for every access point, every client, random default passwords per device, etc. And just like you're going to get all the same great Wi-Fi access point functionality and features you get from our GWN series here, captive portals, virtual access points, and a lot more. Looks like we got a doubled up bullet point down there at the bottom, but that's also just mentioning that this device, the 610W, also has the router built into it, which gives you the ability to pair this device, which also has its own Wi-Fi access point built into it, with up to 150 other Grandstream GWN series access points. And in terms of mesh networking, the devices will be able to be set as masters on a mesh network, so you can use them to build mesh networks that way. So again, this is the overview of the Wi-Fi 6 access point functionality that is built into the GCC 610W. Again, this Wi-Fi AP functionality available specifically within that model for our initial GCC series. All right, we're actually getting pretty close to the end here. Looks like we've been going for just about a half an hour. Got a couple of slides left. Just going to go into a little bit more detail on a couple of extra features, specifically the QoS built into it and the management functionalities. We have a little piece on deployment and target markets, although I've kind of talked about that as we've gone, and then we'll wrap up by kind of giving you an overview of all the opportunities that this device offers. We've been talking about, the features, the functionality, what it does, but I want to get back to a little bit of what I was talking about at the beginning in terms of the opportunities it provides by bringing, everything that a business needs under one roof. So anyway, let's keep going here. So built-in QoS. This is a major differentiator of the GCC 610 series. It's also a major differentiator of many of our products because we have been we've been dealing with QoS for almost 25 years at this point. It was something that we were building into some of our initial IP phones initial IP phones, which we've been manufacturing since 2002. Obviously, we've had multiple generations of IP PBXs. We have a whole line of networking equipment. So we believe we have one of the strongest QoSs on the market. And in terms of the GCC 610 series, what that means is it really just ensures a very smooth experience. It's a smart QoS that's built into it, allows you to prioritize real-time traffic automatically based on any rules that you might set or provide for it. And what that does is just significantly reduces the latency in all of your data transmissions for all of your real-time communications or real-time traffic or real-time data, because you have the IP PBX and the networking functions all under one box and under one QoS. There's not multiple QoSs that are kind of working together or contradicting each other or that have to be built in different spots. You've got one QoS here, and that controls everything. Your UC, your VoIP, your networking solutions, the router, the access point, the PBX, all the network switch, all built into it, and then again adding that layer of firewall around it as well. So yeah, features include, you see some of the features mentioned there. VoIP prioritization is really the big one. App QoS as well. Just having the ability to go in and essentially set your network with these devices to prioritize the type of traffic that is most important to you at all times, ensuring that your users always have a smooth experience regardless of the network traffic. And again, that is the built-in smart QoS and the QoS that combines, both networking, security, and PBX all under one roof with one QoS. All right, so the deployment and management is really, we've talked a lot about all the different things the device can do. That is the way it's deployed and managed, and what it offers to those of you deploying and managing Grandstream solutions is really might be the best thing about these devices. So, as I mentioned before, and as many of you know, we make a ton of different endpoint solutions. These devices give you the ability to bring them all together under one roof, managed by one device, all managed from that one GDMS cloud interface. By putting everything under one roof, it creates this central administrative interface that allows you to manage a company's entire network, and that's everything from high-level view and updates of what's going on with the network and the network topology, all the way down to the granular level, what's going on with each specific network node or endpoint or access point or device or client, whatnot on the GCC platform. Gives you a centralized solution, again, to deploy and manage all Grandstream endpoint solutions from one location. I mentioned this earlier in terms of the provisioning. It's another great feature of the GCC. Built into it is a one-click fast provisioning process that we have created. We'll provide more information on this as we get closer to launch. And this fast provisioning process allows you to add up to thousands of endpoints at a time. And as you can see there, our estimation cuts deployment costs by as much as 99%, or deployment labor, I should say, because so much of it now really can be done quickly and easily and pretty much mostly off site if you would like. Well, I would say that, for a comparison of this fast provisioning, we had a feature or have a feature in our a zero config feature within our UCM series. I'd say that this will be pretty similar to that. And again, we'll provide more information. We're actually developing a video on it. But again, the big thing there is this kind of fast provisioning process, specifically for GrandStream endpoints, will cut deployment costs and time up to 99%. All of this is manageable, or the whole GCC interface is manageable from GDMS. Many of you know that earlier this year we merged GDMS, which traditionally GDMS has been the UC or the VoIP management platform. We also had GWN Cloud, which was our network management platform. We merged them. It's now one platform, GDMS, so that one GDMS platform can manage every single feature and functionality of the GCC device, the networking, the IP PBX, firewall, the access point, the network switch, all from one location. GDMS, as everybody knows, it's a cloud platform. You can access it centrally or remotely on, from anywhere on any device. We do have a mobile app for it as well, which allows some great mobile and remote management. I think I mentioned this earlier on. The GCC series, in addition to being manageable from GDMS, can also be managed by the local web user interface and through command line interface. And then just like you've probably seen with our other management solutions, a great variety of different reporting and monitoring tools, as well as diagnostic and maintenance tools built into it. Really just to allow you to always know what's going on with the system, to allow the system to repair itself or to take actions in case it sees anything, or to notify you or to notify you when anything occurs, and then to allow the system to pretty much always be actively monitoring in real time what's going on with a variety of built-in diagnostic and troubleshooting tools built right in. So again, that overview of the management, deployment and management of the device. And again, the summary, and I think the important thing to remember here is the fact that these devices give you the ability to bring all GrandStream endpoints under one roof, manage them from one location with one device, which we really believe is going to be a game changer for building new solutions. All right, so we'll begin to wrap up here over the next 4 or 5 minutes. In terms of target markets, again, I mentioned this earlier, there's going to be a couple of different categories or model categories within the GCC series. The first ones that we're talking about here, the 610 series, as you saw from the specs, really, and as I mentioned earlier, really are ideal for small to medium-sized businesses. And in terms of the network speeds they support, in terms of the PBX, the amount of users that the PBX supports, in terms of the amount of ports on the network switch, in terms of the functionality of the Wi-Fi access point, I think they all really point to the main target markets that you see here on the screen. Small to medium-sized business, that is always traditionally and historically been our target market, and we think that this really offers an even stronger offering to the SMB space than we've ever had. And as many of you know, we've really kind of been the champion of the SMB marketplace. Our mission statement says that our goal is to make traditionally high-end, complicated, expensive technology available to everybody. And I think that's exactly what we're doing here with the GCC 610 series. Making all of, I think the feedback we've gotten and that I've seen is, a lot of businesses are going to have bits and pieces of what the GCC offers, but they need a firewall and they don't have one, or they're operating all of these different platforms separately, which is complicated on the back end, expensive, hard to manage for smaller staffs as well, or hard to keep up with. And now you have it all under one device, managed from one location. Super easy to install, incredibly cost effective. I'll get into on one of the last slides, I'll get into the cost of ownership of the GCC series versus buying all these products separately. But to give you kind of a sneak peek on that, the cost of ownership of a GCC device is going to be quite a bit less than buying all of these solutions separately. So that's small to medium-sized businesses, retail as well, single stores, chains. These devices can be easily dropped into a store. It's going to give you a full communication solution for the store. It's going to give you a Wi-Fi network. If you're using the W model, it's going to give you, the ability to route, or excuse me, the router functionality. It's going to give you the firewall functionality, which protects, not only the store's data going back and forth, but anybody. If they offer a free network or captive portals, that will also protect that. So really, again, giving a store, whether it be a single store or a chain, the ability all from one device to pretty much get every communication data and security platform they need all from one device. And then service providers over there on the right. Admittedly, this is, would be, I don't want to say a change, but this would be, I think, a really good enhancement for a lot of service providers. Many of them are right now providing, they're providing all the different services in many cases that the GCC offers, and now we have one device that they can use to put into a business or put into a home. The GCC 610W, for example, I think has tremendous potential for residential service providers. You have phone access, you have a Wi-Fi access point, you have a router, you have a firewall, all built into one device. It is essentially taken the router of yesteryear and given it steroids and turned it into, a full functioning mini server, essentially, that can be put in a house or in a business and allow service providers to have one device and one management system to manage every service that they're selling their customers, all centrally. So again, those are some of the initial main target markets we see for this GCC 610 series. We'll go into a little bit more detail once we announce the product in terms of some more specific, network topologies and network maps and all that stuff. We'll get into a little bit later on. But for now, again, the GCC 610 series, the features and the specs that it offers, really great option to SMBs, retail, and service providers, giving all of them the ability to deploy and manage all of the services they need so much easier, so much more powerfully, so much more cost effective. All right, so last couple of main slides here we'll be done in a couple of minutes. So we've talked a lot about the features, the functionality, and I've really kind of gone into in bits and pieces the opportunities that a product like this provides. Again, this is really an almost all brand new product category. There are devices out there from other manufacturers that will do bits and pieces of what you see from the GCC series, but there really isn't anything that's going to provide everything, that really give you that all-in-one communications, data, security, networking solution. So this, really potentially provides a game changer, we believe, to many of our partners and many people within the Grandstream ecosystem. Really, I'll go through these specifically, but the short of this slide is that it provides everybody the opportunity to easily expand their business and add services and provide services to customers that they're not already providing, and to do so using the same device that you would use to deploy whatever your core competency is. So for some specific examples there, obviously our name in our long history of over almost 25 years now is in UC VoIP. So all of our UC VoIP partners and service providers, the GCC series allows you to very easily add networking and security services to what you're already offering your customers. You can build and manage those new networking security services using the same device that you're using to deliver your UC VoIP and telephony platforms. Manage it all from the same place. The other thing that this allows you to do by having this device, which is going to, also require other Grandstream endpoints around it, specifically, if you're adding networking security services, this now allows you to sell and profit off of, add as a revenue stream, all of the networking endpoints that will be needed to go around this: network switches, Wi-Fi access points, et cetera, et cetera. If you're a networking partner or a networking service provider, this allows you to easily add UC, VoIP, and security services to what you're already offering your customers, and to be able to build and manage those UC, VoIP, and security services using the same device and manage from the same platform that you're already deploying your networking solutions from. And then adding UC, VoIP to your and security to your offering also allows you to add the revenue stream of selling all the UC, VoIP endpoints, IP phones specifically, intercom devices, door access, et cetera, that go around the UC, VoIP and can be all fully managed from this one centralized device and management platform. And then for anybody that's already doing all of this, if you're already deploying UC, VoIP, if you're already deploying networking, if you're already deploying security, now you have one single all-in-one platform and device to do all of that from. You can deploy all of the services you're offering with one device managed from one interface, rather than needing separate devices, separate platforms, separate management processes, having to deal with integration and coordination between those separate processes. Now it's all on one device, manageable from one location. Makes it easier than ever to deploy, UC, the whole combination of services that a business is going to need. So that's the opportunities for everyone within the channel, and how we believe it really kind of is going to help a lot of you hopefully expand your business, offer more to your customers, bring more of your customers' business under your umbrella, rather than them requiring to, get other solutions that they may need that you might not offer from other people. So the last main slide here before we wrap up, we looked at it on the last slide from the opportunities that it provides for those within the channel. This slide focuses on the opportunities it provides for end users. Obviously, for all of us in the channel, we're all here to make sure the end user is happy. That's how we all succeed. That's how we all make money, let's be honest with you. And we really believe that is, in terms of the end user experience, that's really where this GCC series will shine. It provides a seamless, frankly, ideal end user experience because it brings everything under one roof. Everything, all their communication, all their data, all their security needs, which previously were, in many cases, were separate platforms managed by different people and different locations and different devices. Bringing that all under one roof makes it incredibly easy for an end user to purchase, to manage, to basically utilize within their business. It makes it easier and more affordable than ever to build a secure state-of-the-art communication platform. You don't have to go shop around and look at all these different devices and all these different platforms. You have one device, one solution here that can do it all from one location, give you the centralized cloud management, as I keep talking about. No longer, again, I pretty much just said this, but no longer do businesses and users need to purchase and maintain and keep track of all of these separate systems. To make it even better for the end users, they're going to get a lower cost of ownership from our GCC devices than purchasing the 4 products separately, while giving you, as their distributor, service provider, reseller, installer, the ability, again, to bring all of their services under one roof, to sell customers more services, to provide, to have one location where all of your, you can deploy and manage all of their endpoints from. So again, like you see that next bullet point there, one manufacturer and one system for all solutions, centrally and remotely set up and managed, So again, it's great for everyone within our channel in terms of the opportunities that we believe that this is going to provide you to expand your business. And then best yet, from an end user experience, this maximizes the seamlessness of the end user experience. One platform, one manufacturer, all solutions. No need to go out and buy and maintain and keep track of separate systems or separate devices. You're going to get everything that a business needs here from one place, one platform, one device, one solution, all managed essentially from one location. All right, so we are pretty much wrapping up here. That was the majority of the content that we had prepared here for today's webinar. So just going to wrap up here real fast on the next couple slides. If you have any final questions that you weren't able to send over to Hugh, now's probably a good time to do so. So just to wrap us up here again, the GCC series is, we believe, truly a groundbreaking device. It's going to redefine the information communication technology landscape. What we've done is we have built a device that combines up to 4 different products into one. You get a VPN router, a next-gen firewall, an IP-PBX, and a network switch, all built into one device. Or with the 610W, you get a router, next-gen firewall, IP-PBX, Wi-Fi access point, all built into one device, giving you the ability to deploy end-to-end complete business communication, data, and security solutions, all from one place with one device, managed from one location. No need for separate systems, platforms, devices, solutions, back-end integrations, etc. You can now do everything with the GCC series. And as I mentioned, and as you see on the top of a lot of these slides, these devices are not launched yet. You can expect to see them starting to be rolled out throughout May and June. And again, last slide here before we wrap up. These are the 3 initial models in the GCC series that we will launch in May and June. The GCC 610, the GCC 610W, and the GCC 6011. I'll leave this slide up here for a second. But yeah, so you can, like I keep saying, you can expect to see these roll out in May or June. Where I think you can tell we're incredibly excited about these. We think it is one of the most innovative, groundbreaking, game-changing products that we've really ever developed. We think it provides so many opportunities to the channel, to end users, and we're stoked, frankly, about these. We debuted this concept, the whole concept behind these Convergence devices, last September at our channel partner conference in Cancun, Mexico. So, we've been working on this for quite a while behind the scenes. As I mentioned earlier, we started the initial beta testing within the last couple of weeks. So again, the reason why we didn't go into more detail, and we will in future webinars, just because these products are still technically under development, although they're mostly finished with development at this point in time. So something we've been working on behind the scenes for a while. Those of you that may have joined us or visited us at a trade show or a training this year, you may have been lucky enough to see them and hear a little bit about them. But for the most part, this is really the first time that we're going in depth and providing a lot of information on these devices, which again, we're incredibly excited about. We think it offers a ton of different opportunities for everybody within the channel, but also for end users as well. And with that, that wraps up our webinar here today. I want to thank everybody from all over the world for joining in. We had a really good crowd here today in terms of the amount of people that joined us. Lots of interest here. I do want to mention that we did record this. So the recording will be available. You can check our YouTube page later on in the day and it'll be up there. We'll also email it out to you by the end of the week. Feel free to watch it again or share it with anybody who might be interested that couldn't make it here today. And then, as I mentioned, as we get closer, probably once we get into May, we'll schedule couple additional webinars, and you'll see a lot more content that we'll be releasing some videos as well to kind of provide you with more information on the GCC 610 series. Again, devices that we really believe have the potential to redefine the information communication technology space, make it easier, more powerful, and more cost-effective than ever to deploy state-of-the-art communication solutions. Communication, data, and security, all under one roof, one device, managed from one location. So yeah, with that wraps up my part. Before we finish up here, want to bring in Hugh. And Hugh, any common questions or comments or anything from the chat that we should address out loud here before we wrap up?
Yeah, thanks, Phil. Thanks for the presentation, and thank you to everyone that joined today. Great questions in the chat. Thanks for keeping me active there, everybody. And I think there's just one thing that I want to say and clarify or just emphasize is that what everyone saw today is just the first few devices of a whole new series that Grandstream is releasing, and so there will be a lot more within this product lineup that can meet a lot of the needs from the questions that we have asked. But this is just the beginning of, I don't know, I guess the word revolution would be a good word to use. Beginning of a revolution in convergence of UC and networking. And so, yeah, thank you, everyone, again, for the great questions. And we're excited to have these products for everyone out soon.
Definitely. And yeah, it's a great point to make. Just to reiterate that there are other GCC series models coming. This is just the first three. We'll have additional categories really targeted at, like I mentioned, more enterprise grade solutions, as well as more targeted solutions. There's the GCC series is a whole new series for us. You're going to see a bunch of different devices that are going to be part of it here that will roll out over the next year. The three that we showed you here today are just the first three. And as I mentioned, this first three are really kind of the SMB, or the small to medium-sized deployment solutions. For larger deployments, for more specific or deployments, you'll see some additional models coming out later on. All right, I think that's it. So yeah, we'll wrap up with that. Want to thank everybody for taking time out of your schedule today to learn about the GCC series. Keep an eye out for a lot of new content, tools, and resources that we'll release here over the next 2-3 weeks about the GCC series. We'll have another webinar in the future. We'll go more in depth on it. You'll see some videos. There's a blog post up, which is how many of you probably found out about this. So keep an eye out. Like I mentioned throughout the webinar, we're looking to start rolling these out sometime in the month of May. So keep an eye out for those. And yeah, let us know if you have any questions, comments, concerns. We're here to help you out. We do well when you do well. So please let us know what we can do for you. And yeah, with that, we'll wrap up today's webinar. Like I mentioned before, this was recorded. You can check our YouTube page later to find the recording. Feel free to share it with anyone. We'll also email it out later on in the week. So yeah, thanks everyone again for joining us here today. We hope to see you again at either another Grandstream webinar or at one of the many in-person events or trainings that we have going on here over the next couple of months. Mentioning trainings, there's a whole new agenda of in-person trainings that you can find up on the Grandstream Academy. So check that out if you're interested. So yeah, once again, thanks everyone. We hope to see you again soon and hope everyone has a great day. Take care.